Vigo turned 1 year old a month ago, which is wild, but with great age comes great responsibility and a need to switch up his food, because up until he was a year old, he was on puppy food. We'd been giving him Purina Pro Puppy Plan, I think that's what it's called, and he loved it. There was a short window of time when we tried to introduce him. The truck's in my house. There was a short window of time where we tried to introduce him to raw food, and that didn't seem to sit as well with him. Don't get me wrong, he loved it, but I found that his stomach was a little bit looser than usual, which is unusual for Vigo because if you know him, you know that he has a stomach of steel. So when he was turning a year old, I was honestly overwhelmed with all of the options of things that we could give him food-wise. So here's where we landed. Side note, this is not a sponsored video. This is just me sharing what we're doing with Vigo. Originally, I was thinking of giving Raw another go, but then we hired this in-person dog trainer who I really loved chatting with her, but I asked her opinion on the whole food front. And her perspective was that raw is great, but it comes with a few challenges. First of all, it is more expensive than other options. But also she said, you know, if you're having a kid and your dog is eating raw and then maybe rubbing his whiskers on the carpet or whatever, and then you have your kid touching the carpet and touching their mouth, there's an increased risk of salmonella or passing something on to yourself or your kid. And that was a good enough reason for me to think, okay, let me see if there's another option. So she actually put us onto something, which is dehydrated food by The Honest Kitchen. It looks like this, and it comes in a powder, and essentially you rehydrate it. So you add water to it and it becomes almost like a porridge type of meal that your dog can then eat. What I love about this is that they use human grade food. And what I also liked about it was that it was more affordable than raw. So it felt like a good balance of like meeting his dietary needs, being more affordable, maybe being safer for our home than raw might be. Which, don't get me wrong, I think if you're responsible with raw, totally fine. I'm just mindful that we're having a kid and maybe I'm being a little bit OTT. We started Vigo on this, and to begin with, he absolutely loved it. What I found with Vigo, as I'm sure many dogs have this, is that he loves novelty. So if you introduce him to a new food, he will devour that. After maybe like a week of giving him this, he kind of started getting bored of it. Similar to what we saw with his puppy food, which was that towards the end of that year, he was not loving his puppy food as much anymore. So we were having to put bone broth in it, having to put sardines in it, pumpkin. We were having to really kind of spice up the meals. What we then experimented with was actually getting a different flavor of this. So we have the chicken recipe and we have the beef recipe. And basically what we do every day now is in the morning we give him chicken, and at the night we give him beef. And then every now and then we might put a little topping on. I sometimes use this omega oil as well as this goat's milk, which he loves, which is a probiotic. And he now will lick the bottom of his bowl until it's done. He is obsessed with his food. I think having the two flavors has been a nice way to give him that variety and not feed him the same thing every single day. But also, his poops have been amazing. He used to poop twice a day, and it used to be kind of like harder poop, I would say. This is kind of gross. Sorry for anyone who doesn't want to talk about poop, but it is what it is. Nowadays, he poops 3 times a day, and it seems like a really healthy poop. So we've been really happy with The Honest Kitchen. They also say that you could use this as a topper if you wanted to. So if you didn't want to give this as a full meal, you could mix it with kibble, or you could add it to whatever else you're doing. This for us was a really happy medium, and having the 2 flavors works really nicely. I'm kind of afraid to ask for thoughts because I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about food, and I'm not a food expert. This is just me trying to do the best for my dog. But if you're on Honest Kitchen, I'd love to hear your experience, or if you have any other, you know, thoughts on food. Respectfully, let's not lose our cool here. Feel free to drop it below.